Hello chess lovers and general public, we're going to see more ways to take advantage of the weak f7 and f2 squares. We start with a simple example in the Scandinavian defense. E takes d5, queen takes d5, knight c3, queen d8. The Valenciana variation, d4, knight f6, bishop c4 pointing towards f7, c6, knight f3, all very normal. But the black pieces being on autopilot make a mistake and play bishop g4, which is punished with the pseudo sacrifice bishop takes f7 check, attracting the king to this square, king takes f7, to then win material with knight e5 check double attack. White recovers his sacrifice piece and wins a pawn. This tactic not only happens in the Scandinavian defense but also appears in many other situations. Don't forget to subscribe, so you don't miss all the upcoming guides that will help you be a better player. While you're at it, give me a like too. Thanks. We can't talk about f-pawn tactics without mentioning legal's mate. Here after knight f3, black chooses the reliable and routine Philidor defense, d6, bishop c4 is a way for white to deal with it. From there the bishop points to f7, knight c6, knight c3, if black plays knight f6. Those who saw the first part of the series should know that white achieves a strong attack with knight g5. Instead of knight f6, bishop g4 was played, and on this occasion after h3 and bishop h5, comes the wonderful move knight takes e5, which sacrifices the queen and performs a double threat. Those who have seen this pattern before won't be surprised, but for those who see it for the first time it's something spectacular. White is giving up his queen. What the heck is going on? The idea is that if bishop takes d1 there is mate in 2 starting with bishop takes f7 check, king e7, knight d5 checkmate. There is a lot of efficiency in this checkmate since the squares around the king are only covered by one piece each. The e8 and e6 squares are covered by the f7 bishop. The d7 and f7 squares are covered by the e5 knight, while the d5 knight delivers checkmate and covers the f6 square. The reason why in this case after bishop g4, it was necessary to play h3 first, is because if knight takes e5 is played directly there is a risk that black will respond with knight takes e5, winning a piece and defending his bishop. Hence the importance of playing h3, so that after bishop h5, knight takes e5, if black plays knight takes e5, in this case the knight doesn't reach to defend the bishop and we can play queen takes h5, and knight takes c4 wins nothing due to queen b5 check double attack, which will recover the piece and leave white with an extra pawn. This other example is similar, bishop c4 pointing towards f7, bishop g4, knight c3 where black makes the mistake of playing knight e7, which is immediately punished by knight takes e5, capturing a pawn and threatening both bishop takes f7 checkmate and capturing the g4 bishop. Black can try d5 but white still wins. Pause the video if you want to solve it for yourself. After knight takes d5 black still must not capture the queen, since if bishop takes d1 exists knight f6 check, clearing the c4 bishop attack on f7, and after g takes f6, everything ends with bishop takes f7 checkmate. One detail I want you to remember is that in the first example the combination started with bishop takes f7, followed by knight e5. But in these last examples it was the other way around, it started with knight takes e5, and ended with bishop takes f7. Always calculate to determine the correct order, if there is one. Next, this is a pattern that should not be forgotten, d4, and black plays what I call the Fili Damiano defense f6, which is an original plan that I must dedicate a video to teach how to punish it, obviously, because it's very bad. Bishop c4, knight e7, this is a serious mistake even if it doesn't seem like it. D takes e5, and black shouldn't capture in any way. In case of d takes e5, the d file opens, the queens face each other and white wins with bishop f7 check, which diverts the king who will no longer be able to defend his queen. If f takes e5, knight takes e5 and black can't capture the knight or else they'll lose their queen. This pattern occurs in many openings from both the white and black perspective. The f7 and f2 squares will always be weak points. A fighter can't do anything to prevent a direct blow to the lower area from hurting, but what he can do is be aware of his weakness and not allow himself to be hit there. In the same way in chess, we have to calculate correctly to prevent our rivals from taking advantage of our weaknesses. Thanks for watching, take care, bye.